Here we are again. You know, I thought after like 3-4 seasons we wouldn't need to do a bounty prepping video, but unfortunately they're still here, and they're really fun. I was kidding. Don't hurt me, button. But on a serious note, I hope Bungie deletes all bounties from our inventories before Beyond Light. But unfortunately, until we hear that word, people should be saving bounties if they're gonna push for day one content, day one raid, whenever that is. We don't know yet. And I mean, I don't even have anything exciting to say because bounties are just so boring. So let's just get started, you know? So obviously, number one quote-unquote tip is save weekly bounties instead of dailies. Weeklies are worth more. Yes, I'm aware that Bungie has said they're going to change weekly bounties to some new system that they're going to have, but that doesn't mean they're going to delete the old weekly bounties from your inventory because they've never deleted the weekly bounties from an inventory! So, I'm calm. It's okay. So, there's really no reason for you to not save these. At worst, the weeklies will get deleted, and everybody will be at an even playing field, so it'll be okay. But if you're trying to prep, then this is the way to go. So let's get started. First up, we have Banshee bounties. Weekly bounties. Banshee has 7 planet weeklies and 1 calibration weekly bounty for a total of 8. Now, obviously, at the time of this video releasing, I think you only have 4 weeks left. So if you haven't started on these, go at them. Hopefully there won't be a dud duplicate from now until the final week up to Beyond Light. Next up we have Vanguard and Crucible. Zavala, I believe, has 7. Shax has 6. Again, same thing with Banshee. It can be a dud. There can be duplicates in each week, so I would recommend saving them now instead of waiting until like the last week or 2 of the season, unless you just don't care and you prefer Bright Dust. That's fine too. That's kind of up to you. Banner bounties, I don't think you can get these anymore because there's no more Iron Banners left for the season, pretty sure. They haven't said anything. On the off chance if there is one remaining that they haven't announced, make sure you grab these, complete them, don't hand them in, etc, etc. Then we have Trials bounties. So fun! I would only recommend these if you're A, not a masochist, or you are a masochist, sorry. B, reasonably good at PvP, and C, pray that you don't run into cheaters. That last one's probably not a qualification. I'm just really annoyed by cheaters. So, Trials bounties, weeklies, they exist. Yes, they definitely do exist, but they're super annoying to complete. For example, you can see this one on screen right now. Defeat opponents using your super. For some godforsaken reason, this only counts for your character personally, not your entire fire team, as opposed to literally every other bounty in the game. You have to defeat people with your super, and you get, like, I believe 3% per super kill, and 1% per orb generated, for a grand total of, like, 10% if you have a good match and get a triple kill with your super. And you would have to do this on 3 characters. Doesn't that just sound super great? So, in all seriousness, I would really only go after these if you are a somewhat decent PvP player. Otherwise, just avoid them like the plague and move on. Next up, this is not a weekly bounty. I mean, it is a weekly bounty, but it does not give the high-tier XP that the rest do. The only reason I have this is because it gives you an engram drop, and on the tiny chance we save these bounties going into Beyond Light, maybe it'll give me a new helmet drop. Meaning it'll be the new light cap instead of the old cap. It probably won't be, very unlikely, but I have space to spare, so I thought, why not? This is not a recommendation, I was just explaining why this is here. Then we have event bounties. This is the solstice bounties. If you don't already have these, you can't get them anymore, so don't worry about that. But if you do, good job. That's 4 extra weeklies for you right there on XP. After that, we have clan bounties from Hawthorne, not to be confused with the raid bounties from Hawthorne, because those are dirt. These are the weeklies. As you can see, this one's PvP. There's Gambit. There's also one for Nightfall, and then there is one for something else that I can't remember off the top of my head. Raids. Yep, there you go. Save those. Obviously, you need a clan with these, and you need at least either one person in your activity for something like Raid or Nightfall, and then you need at least half in PvP/Gambit. So keep that in mind. Then there's the Yes, I'm a Closer bounty. This is exactly the same as the Helmet bounty. It's not a true weekly in the sense of it doesn't give the full XP, but it gives you a legendary gear drop, and that's the only reason I'm keeping it. Same reasoning. Then we've got the Moon bounties. These are from Eris and the weird table next to Eris, that the lectern. There you go. I remember the name. I know this game. I don't play this every day or anything. Smile. So you save these from her. These are the weeklies. I know it doesn't say you get XP from these, but trust me, you do. I'm not going to hand them in right now to show you, but just take my word for it. You definitely get experience. And then finally, there's some just stragglers here. I haven't completed these, but obviously you can save them. I would not save these bounties right here. These are the recaster bounties. They will not be saved, obviously, because they're seasonal bounties, so they're going to get stripped away, unlike the rest of these for some... okay, back to the topic. So I would not save recaster bounties. I would save everything else. You could risk saving these. These were actually around last year after the event ended, even though it says expires at the end of the Festival of the Lost. They're just mostly a gamble. That's completely up to you if you want to keep them or not. You know, whether you want Bright Dust or not. I'll just leave that up to the person, you know. Player preference and all that. Other than that, to fill out the rest of your bounties, as you can see right here, 63. By the way, in case some people are confused how I get to keep so many bounties, well, for most people, they have this quest tab full of stuff. Absolutely full of stuff. As you can see, mine is completely empty. The reason you can't hold so many bounties is because this counts with these bounties together. It is one big number together. So you have 63 slots absolutely total. So if you have a bunch of quests here, that's why you can't hold a ton of bounties. And if you want to, then you're going to need to clear up all your quest stuff in order to hold more. So if your thing is empty and you have chronic OCD like I do with this video game, you will have 63 slots available for bounties. Now, obviously, you're not going to get 63 weeklies in total, at least not at this point. And to fill out, I would suggest not doing Vanguard and Crucible and Gambit, because for Gambit, if you do the dailies and you hand them in, it taints your Infamy rank, at least for that next main level drop, meaning like Guardian, Brave, Heroic, Mythic, etc. So I would not do those. I would also not do Zavala and Shax, and you could probably do Manchi, but not Zavala and Shax, mainly because obviously it would affect the 8 bounty drop there, which you can see. As well as if you're really going super gremlin goblin mode on day 1 and seeing how many levels you can get, you want to save these, because when you're actually grinding on Beyond Light, I'm sure you're going to be doing strikes and Crucible, so you're going to need to pick up these bounties and gain more experience, as opposed to if you're already holding them, you're going to run into the DLC and then you're going to have a bunch of them in your inventory already, and when you do go to Shax and Zavala, they won't have any new ones because you're already holding them. So instead of doing that, you go to the planets that won't be going away and picking up those bounties. So you can have 3 from Devrim per day. You can have 3 from the moon. Actually, no, 4 from the moon. Sorry. Forgot Eris has 4. So you can have 3 there, 4 there, daily. They rotate. I'm sure there's more of those. As well as Nessus, which is not going away. Basically, you just want to avoid Titan, Mars, Mercury, and Io, because they're getting... I don't want to say nuked. I don't believe they're getting nuked. They're getting vaulted, fused together, terraformed, something. They're not going to be there. The left side of the screen is not there, alright? Just pretend that. So, between this planet, this planet, this planet, I would not save these two, just FYI. Between these 3 planets and your weeklies, that should be the majority of your bounties going into Beyond Light. As many weeklies as you can stack together, go ahead. You should probably get... I want to say 15 to 20 levels total. If you stack up, like, let's say 1 page of weeklies and then the rest dailies, you'll be around the 15 to 20 level range, which is pretty reasonable. In the battle pass, that would get you to, let's take a look here. So 15 to 20 would get you about 1/2 of a gear set. Well, at 20 actually it would be a full gear set, exactly. Yeah, 20 sounds pretty good. It would give you 1 full armor set plus this box, which also gives you an armor set. Keep that in mind. That actually can come in handy as well, depending when you need your gear drops. And that's really about it as far as the bounty process goes. Now that's the bounty portion of this. I'm sure people are asking, well, what about other stuff? you know, characters having certain guns, armor, etc., etc. And I'll go over that here. So let's just start with stuff you can obtain now that you won't be able to obtain later on that you should get because it's either meta or it can become meta or it just has high potential, you know, things like that. So for example, Scourge of the Past will be going away, as most people probably already know. The Farm will be going away, 0 Hour will be going away. So obviously when you include Scourge and 0 Hour for specifics, that would include Anarchy. Literally the best exotic in the game right now, in my opinion. So if you don't own this, obviously you should definitely get it. Scourge of the Past is farmable, which means you can farm the boss checkpoint over and over and over and over until you get the gun. Like I said, best exotic in the game, no reason to not farm it if you have a team and time. Same thing with Outbreak Perfected. Obviously, I'm not going to say it's on Anarchy's level or anywhere near. However, this weapon does have certain situations where it could be really, really good. You know, one example would be, I don't know, some team using it in the Day 1 Crown of Sorrow and almost getting World's First, but then losing by 6 minutes and then crying. I can't remember who that team was at all, you know, but... Oh, shut up. Alright, back to it. So that's 2 examples of something I would definitely recommend saving. Next up is Raid Armor. Now, I know some people are extremely salty that we're losing Taken armaments, high armaments, and fallen armaments. And yes, I understand you can still use Taken armaments in Last Wish, but trust me, that does not make a big difference. But even despite that, you should still save Raid Armor, specifically the Guardian and Last Wish armor. And why? Well, if you take a look here, this is Guardian armor, and this is we're somewhere Last Wish. Yeah, right, Last Wish armor. So as you can see, the current power cap is 1060. Seasonal power cap 1060, but the power limit is 1360, which is our next highest cap once Beyond Light launches. And Raid Armor, which would be Last Wish, Guardian, and Deep Stone Crypt when Beyond Light launches, it goes up to the max, while every other armor in the game does not. Every other armor in the game falls under this cap, so you can't maximize unless you have one of these armor sets ready to go, or the ones you get in Deep Stone Crypt, whatever that may be. So because of this, you should definitely save at least 1 set of armor per character, whether it's Last Wish or Guardian or a mix of both. You should still have it just in case, just for the power cap alone, because you never know. You never know. It's all about prepping, right? So definitely save Last Wish armor, definitely save Guardian armor. You have plenty of time. You still have a month. You know, you really have no excuse not to at this point. Even if armaments are gone, it really doesn't matter. Armor is armor. What you really need is statistics and good mods, and even when they get rid of armaments, trust me, there'll be plenty of stuff to use. That doesn't include abusing unlimited power ammo forever and ever and ever and ever. Sorry, I just have to rant a little bit. So, that's what armor I would recommend saving while you can. That's the bounties I would recommend. Let's move on to some other stuff. Next up, let's talk about materials. What can you save? Well, whatever you have from the planets that are going away, I would still recommend you keep. Even if the planets are going away, one day they'll definitely be back. That's not a spoiler or anything. That's just probably a good guess. B, they've hinted at having some sort of currency exchange, so even if you keep them, I'm sure they'll have an option of you handing them in or exchanging them for something else once Beyond Light launches. So really, there's no reason to burn them right now. And C, you should stock up on bounties. Sorry, not bounties. I keep having bounties on the brain. I hate them. You should stack up on materials for planets that are not going away, which in this case would be Etheric Spiral, Helium Filaments, Data Lattice for Nessus, and of course Dusk Lights for EDZ. Now then, of course, you have mod components, if they'll actually become usable again one day. Enhancement cores, which are pretty much usable for everything these days. If you didn't know, currently there's actually a little farm you can do. So there's this little core farm you can do in case you have access prisms and you don't have a lot of enhancement cores that you want to stock up on. So this is going to be my inventory screen for a second here. And so you can see here I have 47 prisms. You don't really need them for a lot, and you can definitely get them back doing dungeon bosses each week. You get 6 every time. So if I was low on cores, I'm not right now, but just pretend I am. What you can do right now currently while the festival event is going on, which is basically until Beyond Light, is you go and buy one of these masks. As you can see, level 6 on each of them. Buy one for 100 glimmer. Go to it. Upgrade it for 2 cores, and then once more for 1 prism. So you spend 2 cores and 1 prism. Then you dismantle it. And bam, you get 6 cores back for plus 3 cores. All you lost was 1 prism and 2 cores, and you get 6 cores back. So if you want to stack up on cores, there you go. That's how. Super easy. Now let's go back to talking about materials. After cores, I mean, Ascendant Shards, sure, you can stack up on those. They're not 100% necessary, but if you like farming Nightfalls, definitely do so. I personally go for Aeon Gauntlets whenever I have access Ascendant Shards. I just get one out of my collections because they're the worst exotic. Then I put my shards into it, and the reason for that is because if I delete this right now, I get back 1 Ascendant Shard. So theoretically, I'm saving an unlimited amount of Ascendant Shards through my vault, as opposed to the 40 that you would normally cap at through Postmaster and Inventory. So that's how you save Ascendant Shards, that's how you get cores, prisms. Then we have ships. Why do you save ships? Well, it's pretty simple. Your Glimmer cap normally is 250k. When new content drops, you might be picking up 1,000,000 bounties, you might be buying 1,000,000 things of something new, things like that. You never know when you're going to need Glimmer. If using items is like 5k, 2,500 on some stuff, so it's pretty expensive if you keep doing it over and over and over, right? Which I'm sure some people do. So, when you keep this in your vault and dismantle it, Zavala's Authority will give you, I believe, 5,000 Glimmer and 5 shards back. So, essentially, you're saving extra Glimmer in your vault. So, like, personally, I have like 50 ships in here, all worth 5k Glimmer each, so it's just extra Glimmer that I keep just in case when new content drops and I may need Glimmer. This is not the only item you can save, and you should also know that that item is no longer available. It was only available in, I believe, Season 3. Let me double check here. Yep, right here. You can also save, I believe, this 1,000 Wings, which is from the Whisper mission. It gives you the same thing, as well as there's a Sparrow for that, which I think was also the same season. Other side, right here, yep. This is from just Strikes, I believe. They just put it in Strikes these days. So this is actually still obtainable. If you have this, just use this. It costs you 7,500 Glimmer at the time, currently, but you'll keep 5,000 in your vault and then eventually get back to your max of 250 gradually from now until Beyond Light. One last thing I want to talk about material-wise is tokens. Vanguard tokens and Crucible tokens, and even Callus tokens, even though Benedict is probably going away. So Vanguard and Crucible tokens specifically is obviously Shaxx and Zavala are not going to disappear. I think that's pretty obvious. And they both give you gear that is either on level or like 1 level under your current highest level. So having these tokens is really, really helpful for bluing up when new content drops. For example, if new content drops and I'm 1100 light, but my class item is 1080, so it's 20 light behind, you can just take your ass to Zavala and then take your 10,000 tokens or whatever you have and then spend them all until you get a class item, which will then give you 20 extra light, which is basically 2 full light levels, and that's a lot considering if you're grinding to as high as you want to be on, you know, launch week, basically. Now, what I would actually recommend in amounts varies depending how much you play. Me, personally, I think 10, 15, 20k is doable for people that like to farm the game a lot. Obviously, most people don't have that kind of time. So, me personally, I went for 10k. I may go for like a little more, 15k by the time Beyond Light launches. For regular players, but that just don't, you know, play like 8 hours a day or whatever, I would say like 5,000 between now and Beyond Light is pretty reasonable, considering you get 20 from bounties on Zavala daily per character. And if you have a Ghost Shell that gives you a Vanguard Scanner or Crucible Scanner, you get extra tokens while in Strikes and completing those as well. So 5,000 sounds pretty reasonable, I think, if you're trying to prep for Beyond Light. If you play like an hour a day or something, I would just suggest you do the dailies for Zavala and do it on each character. That basically gets you 60 tokens a day on top of however many strikes you can do per day. Try to save like 1,000 maybe going into Beyond Light. Even 1,000 is better than nothing. It'll get you far, trust me. Especially if you have that one piece of armor that's lacking far behind and it's holding you back. That's it for materials. Let's talk about guns and armor. Now, I've already talked about raid armor specifically for Beyond Light because of, you know, it's power cap, basically. However, that doesn't mean you should just ignore all other armor and guns going into the DLC. There are certain guns you can save because they are either going to be meta, close to it, high potential, etc., etc., the same stuff you always hear. So let's just give you an example here. So, Supremacy. Once Mountaintop is officially retired and doesn't go towards the highest possible cap, in this case it'll be stuck at, I believe, what, 1080? So, Supremacy is a last wish gun, and obviously a sniper. It's going to get pushed up into the new ceiling cap, as well as it has great perks to use, i.e. triple tap. So, it becomes one of the best DPS weapons in the game going forward until, you know, we see what the new guns are, what the new perks are, etc., etc. It becomes one of the best guns in the game in terms of damage. So that's why I definitely recommend saving a Supremacy with triple tap. Obviously, the best outcome would be triple tap and a mag perk, so extended or appended mag. I don't remember if Supremacy has tac mag, but that would also work. Same thing goes for Long Shadow. You can also roll triple tap on it and other various perks with it. Also, you can roll a mag perk on it as well as backup mag. That's also an option. Then you have guns like, well, exotics I'm not even going to talk about. Exotics is just one and done. You can always pull them for collections, stuff like that. You could save a Braytech Werewolf from the forest with Vorpal for future use. ARs, Vorpal, champions, you know, common sense there. Then you have bows. Bows are extremely, extremely, extremely underrated when it comes to endgame content. They can help you 1-2 shot enemies as opposed to just plucking away at them with a hand cannon 800 times over and over and over. Bows are also good for champions when it comes to overloads this season, and I'm sure it'll be back again in some different form next season. And they also come in triple elements. So you have Tyranny of Heaven for solar, you also have Hush for solar, you have Arsenic Bite for arc, and I am hoping that in Beyond Light they bring back Solar Calamity, because that would be void bows. And I mean, bows, just try it out. Just try it out. Trust me, it is really, really good. It will not let you down. Just in case people didn't know what I was talking about, here's Arsenic Bite. That is what it quote-unquote looks like. Then you have Solar Calamity, which is unfortunately currently getting retired, but hopefully there's a void one that takes its place that's just as good. 7th Seraph Sidearm. I personally think this has high potential because, as you can see, it has auto-loading and Vorpal, and if you still own this gun, it was from last season, Season of the Worthy. You should definitely use this, save it up in your vault, don't dismantle it. It comes really handy on champions. It's definitely one of those guns that I think will have high potential going forward. Same thing with the Summoner. It has great perks, Overflow, Dragonfly, Rampage, Zen Moment, Rangefinder, all this other stuff. It's solar, it can crack shields really well. It's a spray gun, you can use it against champions. Like, the potential is just limitless, basically. Of course, you have Arc Logic as well, although I think after Beyond Light it is retired, so keep that in mind. You have Last Hope, which is another good spray gun. It's a sidearm, it's arc. It might come into rotation for champions, so I would definitely hold on to one of those if you have it. Ariana's Vow is obviously an exotic, so once you have it, you're good. You should definitely get it and its Catalyst before next season if you haven't already. Highly recommended. Trophy Hunter is another gun you can't get anymore, but if you already have it, definitely don't dismantle it, especially if it has good perks. It could come in handy again as one of the best DPS weapons. Same thing with Supremacy and Long Shadow. Then you got Distant Tumulus, which is a low-key, definitely one of the best guns going forward. I think, personally, the damage numbers speak for themselves. It definitely rivals Supremacy and Long Shadow, and it's an energy sniper as opposed to kinetic, which, again, could come in handy depending what guns we get in Beyond Light. I think keeping one with firing line at the very least is definitely a good idea. If you can roll Clown Cartridge and firing line, you're good to go. Definitely save that one. This next one kind of hurts to talk about. Truth Teller. People... The one thing I hear is people say, what's going to replace Mountaintop? And the answer, quite frankly, is literally nothing, because Mountaintop is insanely broken and should never be replicated ever again. But, if you had to pick a gun, Truth Teller is probably the closest thing you have to, quote-unquote, a meta gun. So if you have good perks on your Truth Teller, try saving that for next season. You never know. Also, it can do blinding nades, which can be pretty handy against ads that are higher level than you in brand new content. Death Adder is a good SMG going forward, replacing good old Recluse. 69, 420, really funny. Death Adder can be farmed in the dungeon, the Prophecy Dungeon, specifically the Cube Room. So if you want to save some time, or if you have some time to spare, I should say, go farm this out. If you like SMGs, if you're an SMG user, definitely have it out ready. It's also solar, just like Summoner, but Summoner is obviously only in Trials. So if you don't want to play PvP, this is a good alternative in PvE. Same thing goes with the Iclos Shotgun. It can roll Trench Barrel, it can roll Vorpal. You can farm it on the final boss of Prophecy. You never know. It could come in handy. You know? It can come in handy. Then you have the Iclos Sniper, another rival to Distant Tumulus. It can roll High Impact Reserves, Triple Tap, or 4 times the Charm, as well as a Mag perk. And, I mean, there's nothing else to say. It can also roll Cellar Founts, by the way. This gun is also very high in damage and has high potential going to next season. It could be one of the best weapons in the game. Honestly, it really could. So, if you have time, farm some Umbral Engrams, go to the Recaster, and roll the dice. Hope you get lucky. Then you have Iclos SMG. It's an arc weapon. It has great perks. It can roll Surrounded. It can roll Vorpal. It can roll Seraph rounds, as well as comboing off with Warmind cells. The potential is high for this gun. Definitely hold the one if you don't already have it. Go farm some Umbrals and get a good one. I don't think anything else needs to be said about this gun that people don't already know. Then we've got some heavy weapons. Outrageous Fortune is a auto-loading GL that can roll Spike Nades. I don't think I need to go any further on that, why GLs are busted. They've been busted for like a year now in the heavy slot and in the kinetic slot, Mountaintop. So that's why you should save one of these. You can get it pretty much anywhere. Zavala, World Drop, Recaster. So if you get a Spike Nade one, keep it. Same thing goes with Swarm of the Raven. If you've gotten one from Iron Banner that has Spike Nades or Spike and auto-loading, you're good to go. It's Void instead of Solar. Keep it, definitely, for sure. And then you have an alternative to it, too, as well. Behringer's Memory, which is also Void. It can roll Clown Cartridge. It can roll auto-loading, Spike, Field Prep. It's just a solid alternate option to Void. So you can also save that as well. And for Arc, you have Interference, which can roll Clown Cartridge, Spike Nades, Full Court, Field Prep, auto-loading, Demolitionist. Just a bunch of insane perks. That's definitely the one to save for Arc GLs as far as that goes. Then you have rocket launchers. You know, rockets right now are pretty terrible. I don't really see them changing and becoming meta, but you never know. They could introduce something new that makes them really good, or patch them, or update them, something, I don't know. But the alternative, or rather not the alternative, the main thing to go after when talking about rockets is, of course, cluster bombs. So you have cluster bombs, you have field prep. Clown Cartridge could be somewhat meta one day, maybe. That's not a guarantee. The number one thing I would definitely go for is cluster bombs for sure. If you can get something like tracking cluster bombs, like on this Moss, definitely go for that. I think after Beyond Light, it's going to be retired though, so just keep that in mind. But the Trials Rocket Launcher, Tomorrow's Answer, will be around for a while. So if you play Trials, go for that. Don't dismantle it if you have a good one already. And that's pretty much it for weapons I would save. There's obviously other things that could just be player preference that you want to save. That's completely up to you. But these are the things that I personally would save going into Beyond Light until we see, you know, new guns, new perks, new abilities, all that, you know? And that's about it as far as prepping for Beyond Light goes. I know the video is probably really, really boring because, you know, honestly, Bounty Hoarding is just a snooze fest. But I wanted to share my thoughts and get it out there what I'm doing because people ask, you know, how are you prepping? What would you recommend? And basically, these are my recommendations. Nothing too crazy. If this helped you, then a like and a sub would be appreciated. Trying to, you know, grow and go forward. Also, I'm streaming on Twitch regularly now. Trying to slowly crawl to partnership. Getting ready for Beyond Light. So if you guys want, stop by there. My Twitch will be in the description below. And yeah, I'll catch you guys next time.